My name's Mate Matic. I'm the founder of Dominate Marketing, where we do performance-based Google Ads and SEO for law firms. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the top 6 reasons I see why law firm SEO fails. So I see a lot of law firm websites while I'm doing my research, competitor analysis, or taking on new clients, and I constantly see the same things that are costing them money that they don't even realize usually is a problem, and they just don't even know what they're missing out on. And that's actually the worst part about it, when a lot of these things are right there. If they just did what I'm going to show you in this video, they, or perhaps yourself, would basically immediately take advantage of this and get more calls and make more money with the firm. So let's get right into it. So the first one that I see is local targeting not done correctly. Now, what I mean by this is targeting the specific locations that you're offering your service in. Now, normally, if you are a law firm with an office, you typically want to target your local area. If you're a firm that has multiple offices, you want to target those local areas. But it's also important to note that if you're offering services statewide or several cities, things like that, you want to make sure that you're actually targeting all these locations correctly. I have seen many times where there are law firms who, let's say, target multiple states, and they have their services like family law. Let's say they're doing family law, and they've got family law, divorce, child custody, all these sub areas that fall under family law. And then they have the pages for services, not targeting any specific location. And then they have our offices or our service locations, and they'll have like Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco. For example, let's say they got 3 offices in those locations. But what they won't have is they won't have family lawyer San Francisco or, divorce lawyer Los Angeles. And so what happens is they never stand a chance at actually ranking for any of the results in their local area, because their pages are just not relevant enough to those locations. And so the problem there is they're never going to rank. And so they just miss out on all of that traffic. If you just have a generic service page, which is just family law, just divorce, and it's not targeting the particular locations that you're trying to get clients from, then you're missing out. And that is one major factor that I see all the time, where it's right there and yet it's not being taken advantage of. So that's the first one. I would double check your site and see if you've got this if you're not sure, because that's something you should be doing. Now, the second one is the correct service targeting. This is kind of the opposite. So what I mean by this is, let's say you offer family law, and I just listed a bunch of those sub-services, divorce, child custody, could be child support, alimony, all of these different things, prenups, etc. If you only target family law, let's say you have a page and it's just family law, and then you bullet list out all of those sub-services, but you don't actually have the specific pages optimized for every single one of those services, you never stand a chance at ranking for them. The reason why is that in every major city, even whether you're in the US, even in places like Australia where it's slightly less competitive, even still, practically all your competition, or the ones at least on page 1, and you only need 10 people to do this, will have a page for divorce attorney or child support attorney or prenups. And they're going to rank, not you, because there's no way that you, with a page about family law with one bullet point about prenups, is going to rank over a whole page specifically optimized for prenups and how they can help people. And so you need to make sure that everything you want to rank for, you should have pages for those. Now, be aware that that's going to depend a little bit on keyword research, what keywords people are targeting. So you're going to have to look into that specifically for your particular use case. But that is definitely something you should be doing. Do not rely on just one page that covers all your services, because it's not going to cut it, I can assure you. Now, the third one is both of these combined. So it's service in particular location. So for example, let's say we take the family lawyer in California, and they got San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles that we said earlier. A lot of firms will just put family lawyer in Los Angeles, family lawyer San Diego, family lawyer San Francisco. And that's a good start. But the problem is they still won't rank, for example, prenup attorney in San Francisco, in San Diego, and in Los Angeles. Same with the other services. You want to make sure that you are targeting every area with every service. And so that's how you're going to actually make your site, or at least that particular page, the most relevant that it could be for that specific service, and give you the highest chance that you're going to rank for. And obviously that includes getting backlinks and building authority and things like that. But none of that means anything if you don't have a relevant page on your site. And so you need to start there. So that's the third one, is combining the first two and making sure that all your services are actually targeting all of your target locations as well. Now, the fourth one is focusing on info keywords before you've optimized all your commercial keywords. What you need to understand for this one is there are different categories of keywords when it comes to SEO. The two main broad categories are informational and commercial. The simplest way to put this is informational is if somebody is seeking information. So that's typically a question or a information seeking thing. Like, for example, do I need a lawyer to get a divorce? That would be an info keyword, versus commercial would be divorce attorney near me. That's signaling that they're ready to basically buy something. So that's what a commercial keyword is. Now, what I see all the time is law firms will make the top level pages. So for example, family law, even if they do divorce, prenups, etc. But even within those is a whole bunch of subservice pages that you could be making to optimize for very specific long tail keywords, which would probably be very low competition in most cases and probably very easy to rank for. But instead, people will just make the top level pages and then they start blasting out tons of content. Now that is a good idea long term, to try and establish your firm for that particular topic and all these other reasons why. However, none of that serves any purpose if you don't have the correct commercial keywords optimized for, because the blogs are nowhere near as likely to turn into an actual paying matter as a commercial page targeting the right keyword is. And so you want to make sure that you go after the highest value, low-hanging fruit first before you start expanding into info content, which is not a direct way to get new clients. It will definitely help long-term, like I said, but you need to build the correct foundation first. Otherwise, you're just going the long way around to try and get back there, and you may never even get there. So that's the thing you need to be aware of. Now, number 5 is subpar or potentially no on-page SEO. I'm still amazed by how many instances I see of this occurring, where even in competitive cities like New York and LA and competitive areas of law, I mean, most are fairly competitive, but even the more competitive ones, personal injury, family law, things like that, criminal defense, where even basic on-page SEO is not done, like meta titles, headlines, and all of these other things, content that goes in there and everything else. And obviously that would be a whole video in itself if I was to break down the entire on-page SEO, and I have done that previously. So click the link above if you want to go watch that video. I'll break down the whole on-page SEO stuff. But doing none of it, and then basically you're not going to rank against everyone who has done it correctly. So even the basics like I mentioned, H1 headlines, meta titles, things like that, right? You need to actually optimize each page to make it as relevant as possible for whatever the topic of that page is, so that you actually stand a chance at ranking. Otherwise, you basically don't stand a chance at ranking because your competitors will be doing this. And like I said, all you need is 10 competitors to do it at least reasonably well and better than you, and they will be on page 1 and you won't. And so that's the whole thing with on-page SEO. And I'm still amazed by how many times I see this not occurring, because I mean, go on my channel, there's a bunch of free videos on how to do it if you want to do even at least a basic version of it, which will definitely help. And now the last one is not implementing CRO. So CRO stands for conversion rate optimization. What that means is optimizing your pages to get them to convert as best as possible. So what that means is getting people to take whatever action you want them to take. Typically with law firms, it'll be a phone call or submit a form to make an inquiry. You can have the best SEO possible. You could be number 1 for all of the keywords, but if your page is not correctly optimized, let's say they land on a page, it talks about everything they want to see, and then there's no phone number and no form anywhere. Like, let's just say it doesn't exist on your website. It's just a page that talks about family law. There's no call to action. There's no action they can take to contact you. It doesn't matter how much you rank page number 1 or page 1 or wherever for how many keywords, you're not going to get inquiries. And so that's an extreme example of why CRO is so important. The traffic is very valuable, but if you're not optimizing and getting the most out of it, then you're missing out big time. And an example of this is if you can bump your conversion rate up from, let's say, 3% to 9%, which is actually very possible, you can triple the amount of money you're making without a single extra person on your website, because you've just convinced 3 times as many people to actually contact you and potentially use your firm. And so that's how that works. And again, there's a whole thing into how to do CRO properly. I've made videos on that as well for how law firms can implement CRO. I'll put a link above. You can go watch that. And I talk about simple things you can do which will help this. But this is a major one, and this is one I see all the time still as well. It's just so many law firms are missing out on so many leads simply because they just haven't optimized the pages correctly and probably just didn't know. And they could be making a lot more money, getting a lot more inquiries, and just overall doing much better if they just implemented that and followed the video I made, basically. So those are the top 6 biggest mistakes I keep coming across when it comes to law firm SEO. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any questions about any of that, put them in the comments below. I will answer them. Otherwise, if you'd like me to help you to get more clients for your law firm on a pure performance basis, go to dominatemarketing.io. I'll put a link below. You can book a call with me there. We can have a chat and I'll see if I can help. Catch you on the next one.